to APCUG's Saturday Safari, where we get together and dive deep into the jungle of technology. Welcome, everybody. Our co-hosts today are Bill James, along with Judy Tallur. We're glad to be here with you and hope that through our efforts today, you gain a little bit of knowledge of something and have a little bit of fun on this last Saturday of May and just a few more days. Hope everybody has a great Memorial Day weekend and be all safe in whatever you do. Not going to do any kind of introductions today because there's no need. You know who we are. We've been around every Wednesday and every quarter Saturday for 3 years plus. So we're just going to go right into our activities today. I'm going to start things off today. Wow, I just jumped right to that screen. Judy asked me if I would do a presentation today on LibreOffice. It's my go-to program for any productivity tools that I need. And basically, it's because of its being free for you and me. I am not going to be teaching you how to do all the different programs in LibreOffice because that will take many workshops. Today, I'm going to be talking to you as an overview about the features of LibreOffice because most of us have worked with a word processor or a spreadsheet. Maybe some of you have worked in a presentation program, and Judy is going to tell you about how easy it is to use one of those presentation programs to put a presentation together. But there are some unique features about LibreOffice that I want to share, and then you can learn more about the program. And if you already know about word processing, because some of us go clear back to umpteen years ago with Works, and that had word processing and spreadsheet. This is a presentation for APCUG's Saturday Safari, and I'll guarantee it's not going to be perfect. And I'm part of the APCUG Zoom team, and so I'm here to fill in for somebody who's not here. My works with LibreOffice goes many, many, many years back before it became LibreOffice. In fact, the history of this program called LibreOffice goes back all the way to 1985 when a program called Star Writer was created. And a number of years later, it went from Star-Writer to Star Writer, one word. And then in 92, it became Star Office because in 92, it added a spreadsheet program and a drawing program. It didn't have the presentation program back in 92. And in 99, Sun Microsystems owned Star Office. They kind of took it over from the Star Division company. It was a very unique program back then because in 1999, this program was free for home users. But if you were an institution, you had to pay $10 for a CD, for those who remember CDs back then. In 2000, it became one of my favorites, the open source project and it was renamed openoffice.org, and it was still owned by Sun Microsystems back then. And I think most of you know how I feel about open source software, so that we know what's in it. So it was shortly after the 2000 that I became aware, because I started with Star Office, and I started with my school with buying the media for $10, and then I was able to install it on over 200 computers in my building. I also used it at home because it was free. And then I upgraded everything to OpenOffice back in the early 2000s. So in 2002, the actual program OpenOffice was released. It now had all the three major parts: the word processing, the spreadsheet, the drawing program, the presentation program, and it had some extras that I'll tell you about. But by 2009, Oracle had bought out Sun Microsystems, and there became a big concern about what Oracle had for plans for OpenOffice. The developers had made it a open source free program, didn't even have to buy the media anymore. And Oracle had some different philosophies about software and what it was going to do. By the next year, the developers of OpenOffice were concerned enough that they left. They left the Oracle Corporation, took the open source code, and in 2010 created a fork of that project called LibreOffice, which is a part of their document, the Open Document Foundation. And it's interesting because usually forks come off of the main program, and then there's a fork that goes off this way, like a side path. But LibreOffice became the dominant version of this program. And after another year, Oracle kind of realized that with the developers having created LibreOffice, there wasn't going to be much to have OpenOffice, so they turned it over to the Apache Foundation, and the Apache Foundation attempted to keep it going. But by 2015, OpenOffice kind of had to start fading, and LibreOffice really took off. And there was over, like I said, 120 million downloads by Mac and Windows users, and then 55 million through the Linux downloads. And I'll tell you why this kind of happened at that time as it went over. One interesting thing that took place is, since LibreOffice was the actual program with the actual developers, an interesting thing happened, that if the people who were still working on the OpenOffice project through Apache, if they came up with some new kind of neat thing or some new add-on to the program or make it something better, LibreOffice was required to, or it was required that LibreOffice get that from them. But the reverse was not part of the agreement, or whatever it was, that there were things that LibreOffice did to its program suite, but they did not have to give some of that stuff to Apache. But I think, with it being open source, they finally be able to get that. But Apache and OpenOffice never really blossomed, because along the way, there were some other programs. There's Only Office, and there's another one out there that are all kind of branches of OpenOffice, LibreOffice. So Apache, OpenOffice is out there, but it's just not one of the ones that everybody thinks of. LibreOffice is pretty much the default program that goes with almost all Linux distributions. Now, LibreOffice is also unique in that it has two different versions. It has a version that is very, very fresh, as they call it. It has the earliest introduction of new features and everything on it. And so if you're really an enthusiast, or you like having the new things, there is a current version fresh. Now, right now, the current version is 753.2. If you are one, or you're an enterprise or corporate that likes the longer term support, they have one, which is the older version, that even though the new version is out, which is 753, 7.4 is now up to 0.7 something. So it will be around for a little while longer. And so then you can wait until you know for sure that you want to make the switch. So you have a choice of which version you want. They are currently working on 7.6. So when that one comes out, that will become fresh. And the 7.5, which has been out for a while, will probably become the still. So you have those two choices, which I think is really good. And a lot of, in the Linux world, we have choices of being very current, or we have very stable. The LibreOffice suite is composed of a number of programs. It's not just the word processor. It has all of these features that you find in something like Microsoft Office, only they add a graphics program so that you can do things. I put down there that it's kind of like Paint, but it's not really. It does the same thing, and I'll let you see it. But that would be the close, because Microsoft had Paint, but they didn't include that in the Microsoft Office suite. One thing that LibreOffice did from the beginning is included a database. Microsoft, that was the higher priced suite. And so you had to buy the higher one. Well, with LibreOffice, database comes with it. And we have, for those people that need it, I never had use for this, but there is a formula editor so that you can go to this separate program, create formulas for whatever use, whether it's for a spreadsheet or just to add into a document. You can create very complicated math formulas. Now, I will point out that, you know, we have unique names. When there are, you just can't call every word processor because you wouldn't know what it is. So each company or each developer has names. For LibreOffice, instead of Word, it's Writer, because that's what you're doing. You're writing. And for the spreadsheet, you're not Excelling, you're calculating. And for presentation, you're not PowerPointing, you're trying to impress somebody. And then Draw, Base, and Math are the names. So those are the features, and when you get LibreOffice, you get the whole thing. That's about it that I'm going to be talking about on slides, because you need to see things, you know, in the works, what's going on. So we're going to switch and go to the website first, and then we're going to take a look at what I call the lobby. So we're going to get out of here. Okay, I got to get this out of here. My screen's blocking my screen, so I've got to do this little trick. LibreOffice, the document foundation, is the corporation behind it. It's because of them and money they get from donations and other corporate sponsors that we can have this program for free. So I need to look at my notes on here. If you come to LibreOffice.org, and you can go to Discover, and under Discover, you can find out all the information about all the different programs that they include. And they talk about the difference between LibreOffice and OpenOffice, and I've already explained that. Since I'm right here, if we click on templates and extensions, I want you to see that you can go and get lots of extra things that go with LibreOffice. And where'd my link go? There it is. Wasn't underlined. And if you come here, you can find out that there are literally hundreds of things that you can add on that people, just like you can add on extensions to your browsers, they have them. So each program has its own set of extensions. And the big other thing is that along with the presentation, they have, there we go, templates. And under templates, they have things go with the presentation. So if you're needing something and it's not right in the program itself, somebody has probably put it together and developed it. So a huge amount of extensions and templates to go with LibreOffice and all of the programs that go with it. When you go to downloads, this is where I told you earlier about the two different versions. This one, which is the fresh, ideal for home user students and nonprofits, and the LibreOffice still, which is for people who want long-term stability. When you come to LibreOffice, it knows what kind of an operating system you have, so it automatically gives you that choice, but you can change it. LibreOffice works on Windows, Macs, and Linux. So you can download and install whatever you need. Now, one thing I want to show, and this will be of more interest to anybody who's been to our Linux workshops, that LibreOffice not only does the downloads for the different operating systems, but LibreOffice has also been put into containers as a Flatpak, Snap, and as an app image. And so we've talked about that in the Linux groups, that these are a new kind of packaging which has everything you need right in the package, whereas with the normal installs of Windows and Mac and Linux, you have to have extra files that connect and dependencies and link. These all come together. So I've been very impressed that LibreOffice is so up with it that they have that. There's a LibreOffice remote that can be installed on your smartphone that could be used as a controller for that, but I'm not going to go into that. Getting help is tremendous. LibreOffice is one of the few programs that I know that still lets you download the whole operating system manual. Not the operating system, the whole manual for all of the programs. And so as you can see right here, help offline. This is a full 100 and some page guide. And I've got that loaded so you can see that. So every time I do a new upload, I also do the new upload of the online. They have a community assistance with forums. There's documentations. You can get on a mailing list. Tremendous support from them. We're now going to go back and see if I can get to the lobby. We'll do it the other way. The lobby is something different that I really like because it is a good starting spot. Okay, now I got to find it again. Excuse me for this thing up in my way. hide that. Here, get out of my way. All right, it doesn't want to open up that way. So I'm going to close this first. And then I'll go back. I don't know if you count that, but I'm going to go back and show you that in the program, this is another very unique thing. LibreOffice has its own safe mode, so that if there's something not working right, you can open up in safe mode and then try to diagnose what extension did you add that's having problems or whatever. This is what I call the lobby. They just call it LibreOffice, but I think it should have a name like lobby, because this is a good starting spot. This has all of your most recent files that you've been doing within LibreOffice. So I can quickly jump to something that I've had earlier. So by default, it comes up to recent documents. You have your traditional open file. And so opens up whatever file manager you have on your operating system. I happen to be on this computer, happen to be doing Windows because I'm running Zoom on that. And you can open up a file. There are templates that come with LibreOffice. Those are the ones to create presentations, other ones that create outlines, whatever. And as I said earlier, you can go online and get hundreds more to get what you need. One feature that LibreOffice had that was very unique was remote files. And with remote files, you can connect to your cloud. We can connect to Google Drive or OneDrive or any of these other choices, including FTP and SHing someplace, and you can access your files without having to go and open up that program. And I used to have it set up for my Google Drive, and I would be able to come here, and listed in here were all my folders for Google Drive and all the files. And so I wouldn't even have to go out and open up and use it. I can't show you that right now because thanks to Google and thanks to Microsoft and their deciding how we should do things with their two-factor authentication stuff, it won't work right now because it can't interact with that. So LibreOffice may decide to make all the manpower to try to make it work, because if you try to set it up the old way, all you had to do was set up your account and your password and you're connected. Now it will not connect anymore, and it's because of what they're doing with that phone calling and whatever. So unfortunately, this great feature is not available at the moment, at least for the Google and the OneDrive. I don't have any of the other file setups to do that. And then you have, along the way, you have each of your separate programs that you can open up. Now, if you wanted to, you could go into the folder and put a shortcut on the desktop for anything that you use a lot and not come to the lobby, as I call it. But I think it's great because it can remember, recent things that you've opened up. I'm going to go to Writer, and we're just going to start. Hide that thing again. Show you a blank file for right now, because I want to share with you things that are, I think, special and features about LibreOffice, and a lot of them apply to all the programs we have. As you see, this starts off by looking like a very traditional menu system and toolbars. And you go across the top as we've had forever, and there's your drop-down menus, your sub-menus, and go across to all of these different ones that we have. We also have a window that if you're working on multiple programs, you don't have to minimize or whatever. You can just go back and forth through these. Here is the help section, and F1 is the traditional keyboard shortcut to get help. And when you do that, it opens up. Now it opens it up using a browser because it's an HTML file, but it opens it up, in here, but it's on my computer, so I don't have to worry about internet. And because I was in Writer, it starts out giving me all of the things that might be pertinent to what I want in here, and I can do searching. And as you can see, there's the first 6 slides. And if I jump, you can see we're up to 146 different little windows. So if you are needing help with LibreOffice, you have all of this help at your fingertip without having to go on the internet to get any of that help. You can also use guides. Now this is taking me to the hub for LibreOffice, and this is amazing. There's online help. I printed out the reference card, which is just a 2-sided with some shortcut keys. But what's interesting is they have loads of books on everything you wanted to do with LibreOffice. Now you can buy a printed copy, or you can just download the PDF and have it for free. And so this I thought was really amazing. Now look up here at the top. If I'm not English speaking, I can get the same things in other languages. So LibreOffice is the worldwide productivity tool used extensively around the world, and using the open document format for all of its files. So you can see that there are tons. Now these are the ones that are the newest ones, 7.5, then you got the 7.4s, and then you can even go back a bit, and then won't be too long before the 7.6s will be included. So that shows you that there's a lot of extra stuff available under your help. You can also set it up to have a tip for the day. At the About LibreOffice, you can always find out if you're up to date. Checking the website, it'll tell you with a pop-up if you're out of date, so you can always keep up to date. One of the things that LibreOffice allows you to do, and other programs do too, tons of customizing. We have the traditional menu across the top, and then you can see that I have 2 rows of toolbars. And all of that I see is up to me. If we go to toolbars, let's see, that's under there we go. Under toolbars of viewing, you can see that there are a ton of different toolbars that I can add to my screen. What these are predetermined sets of tools that are put together. You can notice right now that I've got the formatting one and the standard one up there. There is a formatting that has something styles. The old good-fashioned font work. If I did a lot of font work, I could add that one to my tools. It's down at the bottom. Lots of toolbars that you can add. Take off that font work one. So I wanted everybody to see view toolbars. And also across here are all the things that you can see on your screen. You can see that I've got the boundaries around. I can see images and charts instead of just placeholders. And you can customize this like crazy. If we go to tools and go down to customize, you can see that this is where I can customize every one of these drop-down menus to have what I want. And everything that's available is on this side, and on this one, these are what have been added to the top. And if I went up to those, you would find every one of those in that drop-down. So I can customize that like crazy. The same thing with toolbars. These individual toolbars, they've predetermined what's on there, but I can add, remove, and change to have exactly what I want available in a quick click. So lots of customizing. One other thing, and I said that back in the 2015s and stuff, that there were a lot of downloads from the Windows people. And part of that came from when Microsoft switched from the traditional menus and went to their ribbon menus or ribbon toolbars. Lots of people didn't like that. And when they found that LibreOffice still had this, they all came over to LibreOffice because that's what they were comfortable using. However, ribbons have been around for a long time, and people are using that with just not only the Microsoft products, but some others. But now we've got a lot of people who are not happy with the financial side of Office and what they've done with that. And they wanted to come back to LibreOffice, but they're used to the ribbon. Well, open source Libre said, we want to be available for everyone. So a little while ago, I can't tell you exactly when, if we go to view and we go to user interface, we have an option for tab. And so those people who are really used to ribbons, Judy, we now have available in LibreOffice that exact same layout that you have with ribbon buttons and all those things together. So it's the best for all worlds. It's the best for the traditional. It's best for those who are ribbon lovers. And they even go farther enough that you can vary the traditional to a single toolbar, and just one big one that extends forever. You can have a ribbon that's compact, doesn't take up as much room, and you can even have variations to, here's one that's a contextual single line, here's the one that's a combination of the tabbed but in a compact version if you need more space for something. So I'm going to move that back. Now notice that I can make the change that this is just for writer, or I can change it and make it the default for all of the programs for LibreOffice. I'm going to leave it at the standard right now. So a lot of customizing. But I want to show you what I think is the most useful feature that LibreOffice has, and that is the side panel. This is something different. You can see it peeking out over here. It popped back on because I had it turned off, because that would be the traditional, all you would normally see. But with the sidebar, this eliminates my need for most of the toolbars across the top. Pop it out, please. Oh, there we go. It has all of these sub menus. And so when you have this, here are all the things. This is sort of like the ribbon at the top, but it's over at the side and it can pop in and out of the way. What's really exciting is when you're working on something, the correct tab of these, because there's the properties one, there's your styles, there's your gallery of graphics, there's where you're navigating, here's where you're formatting. So when you're on something, that one is automatically selected because they know you're working on something like that. We also have something I don't use, the style inspector, and you can keep track of all your changes. And so you can be able to move back and forth. And so that pops out, and that's on all of them. So for me, that is much better than looking up to here to see, okay, what do I want? Where is it? Oh, it's not up here. I have to go to one of the menus up at the top. And that happens for everything. I can, if I want to switch to a different program, I can just go up to new, and I'm going to do spreadsheet, just to give you a quick. There's a spreadsheet, looks like everybody's spreadsheet, works like everybody's spreadsheet. I'm not an expert on spreadsheets. I use them and it satisfies my need. And again, if I go up to view, control F5, there's the pop out. And again, whatever you're working on, you can see that this is customized for what you would do within cells and columns and rows. Same graphics. There's your formula that you wanted to get to. So this sidebar is just fantastic for being able to access. And I'm just going to do the presentation program. This is Impress. Pick one. And this one is working just like with PowerPoint. Everything that I do for presentations are all done with Impress. And again, if I add the sidebar, when it pops out, oh, because I'm not making anything. There we go. Come on, pop out. So now that I've done something, then all the properties of that come out. If I'm working on the slide itself, it gives me all the options for what to do with slides, animations, transitions, and all of that. And it works great. I'm going to get Judy converted. I'm going to find out what bugs her and get her to it. But that has all that stuff. All the symbols that you can add. Here's for the slide transitions and all the timing and stuff, you do that. And then this is the one for the animation for what's within the slide. And that's your master slide. One real quick before we close out, if I go to new again, just to show you the drawing program, it's a little bit different than Paint in that it's a piece of paper and you can determine whatever size of paper you want. You have all of your tools over here on the side. And then of course there are more tools, but you can do all your drawing. You can create connections. You can do flow charts. You can do graphic. The LibreOffice Draw program will also open up PDF files, and then there's a possibility of doing some editing. The other big thing I need to go back to here is that when you open up files or you save files, one of the things that LibreOffice does really great is that you can save it in a ton of different formats, not just open document, but the Word programs, an old doc book, old Word programs. When you go to open a file with LibreOffice, again, LibreOffice can open just about anything. And this is just the list, for words. Uh-oh. Judy, you're not going to believe this, but I think that laptop just rebooted itself on its own. Let me do a quick. Do another record. My computer. Thank you, Windows, for being so undependable. So what I wanted to back here is that it can open up everything. One of the big things that was famous about LibreOffice is that LibreOffice could open window doc files before the actual older version of Windows could open it. So there were times that people would have an older copy of Word, and there was the new extension out. LibreOffice could open it for those people and then resave it as an older Word doc. So that's what's really great about the LibreOffice. So that was the draw program. And the last thing to show before we go to questions that I can't answer would be that they have the database program. And if you know stuff about database, this does everything a database can do. You can use the database to create mailing lists and do mail merge with your word processor. So goes in all of that. It is a free program. There is no reason for you not to download and give it a try to see if it won't do everything that you need at no cost to you. So I'm going to stop there. Nope, it's still there recording. My screen just went blank on that. Okay, so maybe we're still lucky and got the good recording. So went overtime, Judy, but.
No problem. I love that presentation. I gave my members asked for a presentation on Writer a few years ago, and I didn't even bother to look at it. I just downloaded it, and I taught Word for 1,000 years and sat there, and it was super simple. There was only one thing that I couldn't find to do, and I was impressed with that. And the Google form that you use to register comes down in a docs spreadsheet. And when I get the attendance list from John, it's an ODP file. And you just have to figure out where things are. They all do the same thing. But your Writer program is quite impressive, kiddo. I'm sorry that impressed doesn't work for me.
Yeah. I got to share that when I was using the Star Office and Open Office, I was still in my teaching mode, and I had put that on over 200 computers, and the students had no problem using it. After the fact, I made one big mistake, and it was that I didn't on the teacher's computer. You can set Open Office or LibreOffice to default save as a Microsoft file. And I did not do that on the teacher's computers. I taught my students how to save as a different format. Teachers couldn't handle that. They already know everything. The problem was some of them were doing graduate work, typing up reports, sent the reports to their professors, and the professors couldn't open it because Microsoft, unfortunately, at the time, by design stubbornness, they would not open an ODT file. And so my teachers got really cranky about it. And I was forced to move all the computers back to Microsoft Office just because of them who didn't know how to save as a Microsoft. But you can set this up that you can use Open Office and save it as a doc file or a PowerPoint file or whatever by default. But It's free. You can get it.
And John will send me his presentation, and if he sends it as an ODT file, I can import it in PowerPoint and absolutely nothing changes. It's really slick now, but I am upset with you. You did not mention WordPerfect.
Oh, yeah, as one of the old originals. Well, I go back to Amy Pro. That was my word processor, was Amy Pro.
Gee, and you're so much younger than I am too.
Yeah. Well, it was cheap. It was cheaper.
Thank you. Does this program have something like Microsoft Publisher?
No.
Good.
Microsoft Publisher. Yeah. Because there's another program out there as good as Publisher that is already being created called Scribus. And so there's no need for LibreOffice. It's an open source product that works on all computers. So why add something new when there's something already out there?
Okay, I have a lengthy question here about something you talked about at the beginning.
Okay.
Yesterday, I tried to update Apache OpenOffice on my MacBook Pro 15, which I recently updated to Mac OS Monterey 12.6.6. That goes over both our heads. I was disappointed that attempts to check for updates to AOO failed yesterday and today with a message that said, checking for an update failed. Description, error reading data from the internet. Server error message, no such message delayed. So he's considering switching to LibreOffice. His question is, can AOO documents be read and edited by LibreOffice?
AOO does not have its own file format. AOO uses the open document format, which is what's used by all of the OpenOffice, LibreOffice, OnlyOffice. So it works fine. Back in the days, I would create documents on the computer at school because it had you know what on it, and I would take it home and open it up in OpenOffice at the time and save it and then go back and use it their way. Should not have any problems at all. Not at all, because they're all open document and it's a cousin. And that just shows you that the development of Apache OpenOffice has really slacked off because LibreOffice has got it.
It certainly seems to be extremely full of stuff that you can use at your fingertips. And again, the ribbon versus what back in the day we called the Chinese menu drop-down system, where you could choose from column A or column B. For people who still are using a 1,000-year-old version of Word that has that feature, they could come into the modern world if they wanted to. Mike says, I found that using Impress to start a presentation on my Linux Mint-based notebook. Then he went to PowerPoint on his Windows computer. For some reason, the layout was different. He wanted to use the ability in PowerPoint to embed a remote video from YouTube, and Impress would not display the live video.
I've had people with Impress show live videos. Sorry.
So it was something with the PowerPoint to Impress.
Yeah, and I have to say that Microsoft does not have to let ODP, Open Document Presentation, work in their program. My answer is figure out the problem in the LibreOffice and don't try to do conversions, because Microsoft doesn't really want you using OpenOffice, LibreOffice, OnlyOffice. But they have to get with the program because around the world, a lot of governments and stuff are LibreOffice people because of the cost factor, and it does everything they need to do.
Okay. I create charts in Excel. I have downloaded and installed open source programs for Microsoft Office. When I open Excel spreadsheets containing charts with the open source software, can't find the charts. Is there an open source Office that preserves Excel charts?
I'm not quite sure the question. Open source is just the kind of software that is available for people to read all the code. So that has nothing to do with saving something or whatever. So I'm not quite sure on that. In terms of saving, it's very possible that Microsoft in their programs save things in a folder here. And because it's in that folder, it wouldn't be maybe in the same folder system as the LibreOffice would use. But then again, you know, my answer is stop trying to go back and forth.
You know, just do what he says.
People make charts all the time, you know, in Calc, and yeah, so do that.
Okay, and I love this question. I absolutely love it. John, can you read a Word file in Linus without reformatting? You guys, you don't realize how many third Wednesday of the month emails that in the subject line I have typed Linus
Instead of Linux.
Instead of Linux. I think I've only sent one, but my fingers just automatically go that way for some reason. So,
well, and that's the name of the guy who started the whole kernel system.
I like to think about it that way instead of the blanket.
Okay, now what was the question with the right word in it?
Can you read a Word file in Linux without reformatting?
As far as I know, that's what I would do at school. I had to type it up at school. Now, I will say that there are some things in Microsoft Word and in spreadsheet and Calc that are very unique to them. And because Microsoft is closed source and nobody gets to see any of the code, some things cannot be replicated in LibreOffice because it's designed to be messed up when it goes out. And Microsoft's getting better because now Microsoft will read some open document stuff, but they're not true. We'll let you see everything and everything works fine. So there are a few things. Judy has already pointed out once in a great while, there'll be a thing in the Impress program that didn't quite open up right in PowerPoint. Formatting might be a little bit, different, but that's the conversion problem. And so either you deal with it or you don't worry about it like I do.
But I love it that I can download new backgrounds.
Yeah, we got it. Oh, yeah. The other thing I forgot to say is that you with LibreOffice, it was from the beginning a program that could create PDFs out of everything that you were making. You did not have to go to a special PDF program. So every document that I make in Writer, I can also export it as a PDF. The spreadsheets, all of the programs that I do for people, I don't send them the Impress program. I convert the Impress to a PDF so they can not have to have OpenOffice on there. So it was from the beginning created its own PDFs, and that was great.
Okay, I have two more, and then three, and then we'll go on to Mr. James. Can my MacBook Pro have AOO and LibreOffice installations simultaneously?
Technically not, because they're the same program. And I did that when I had an OpenOffice and installed LibreOffice. They're the same program, so they merged together. And I can't remember that it might have been that the icons from OpenOffice stayed and it was LibreOffice.
And this is a sad question. because this doesn't happen to me. Is there a way to keep Windows updates from disabling LibreOffice? I've never had that happen.
I've never had that happen.
We're no help at all. A
Yeah.
comment about Excel spreadsheets from somebody who probably uses Excel and does back and forth. Go.
I was going to say, first off, on the updates, technically Microsoft ignores any non-Microsoft product in its updates. Now, I don't know for sure what she's done that Microsoft would get involved with that, but I've never had. But then, of course, I don't use Microsoft full-time for years, but I haven't heard of that being of a problem of updating, unless it messes up some links that have to where files are or something like that.
And my last question here from someone, like I said, who uses Excel. To open Excel sheets with charts, you may need to unprotect the charts first within Excel on Windows, and then just double click the chart area in LibreOffice when you open the Excel file and enter edit mode.
Good.
So,
and this is why I said, you know, to teach LibreOffice, it will take multiple workshops because there's a lot to tell you.
And if anybody uses any of the other products, I would love to have you give a presentation. I would love to have somebody give a nice presentation on Excel for those of us who just use it slightly, and the Docs version and the LibreOffice version. I think that would be a cool 3-person presentation, so we could get a look at all of them side by side, and on and on and on. Thank you so much, Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, one last thing, because somebody popped up an important question. To make your LibreOffice default to Microsoft, it's under the options, under tools options, not customizing, and there's a load and save, and you can go to each program of, you know, Writer, Calc, whatever, and choose what format is the default saving. So it's under tools and options, and then loading and saving. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I have another one here, and
okay.
I was thinking this, and my thoughts went all the way to Australia. It is so cool. Not Canada, Cal, Australia. Ooh. And LibreOffice does not differentiate stable version for updating by patch my PC. That was for the person who had problems with, you know, the Microsoft updates mucking it up. And I thought, my LibreOffice just updates by itself in patch my PC.
Yeah. And there are a number of programs I've found that don't get removed. And so when there's a new version, the old version's still there, and patch my PC will tell me, you have an update. And I say, I've got the newest one, but in the computer, the old one never got removed. And so patch my PC, as good as it is, sees both programs and says, hey, that one needs to be updated.
Okay, interesting. So the person who has problems with LibreOffice being disabled, you might want to download Patch My PC, one of many of us's favorite updating programs, and see if you can, you know, keep it updated that way. And maybe, like John says, Microsoft will go away and stop doing that. Thank you so very much. And we are off to Oklahoma. We've been in Ohio. Oh, another O state then.
Oh, yes.
We are in